Hi, so I'm Penny. I live in Dorking, and I've lived here for many years, 30 years. When I first came to Dorking, I didn't have much of a garden, and I didn't really understand gardening and the joy it could bring. And then I bought a little house with a little garden, and suddenly I got involved, and it was a completely blank canvas. So I bought lots of big plants, planted them all, and the garden became so overgrown. I thought, I need to move, and I need to get a bigger garden, and I need to plan how I'm going to do this gardening thing. So I moved, and the garden was a completely blank canvas. It had one tree in it, and that was it. So I was able to think about my family and their needs and design a garden around that, which also gave me plants that I liked, or space for plants to grow in. It's interesting when you do gardening because you never stop learning, and you're always being taught different things by different plants, by different soil, by different weather, and what might work one year might not work the next year. And it's incredible because you can't sit down and think, that's it, I've done it. It keeps evolving, and that's one of the joys about gardening. It never stops. I like to grow plants that will take me through the year. So I love bulbs in the spring because that gives you a bit of hope that summer's on its way. Roses, just the backbone of any garden because they're so tough and they grow in most soils, and if you're clever, not even clever, if you just read a book, you can get flowers going throughout the whole season from April through to November with roses. So I would say if I had to choose one plant, it would be that. But my favourite plant that I love growing is a dahlia because they're so ballsy and insane and bright colours, and they can be as big as a foot across or they can be tiny, and the variety within that breed of plant is phenomenal. I think if somebody started out in gardening, my advice would be get a spade and get a fork, because you need a spade to dig plants up that you don't want, to dig big weeds up that you don't want, and to dig in compost and nutrients for your soil, and to put in plants. And then a fork or a little tiny handheld trowel is good for the kind of little things and dotting around the garden, looking as if you're doing something but you're not really, but that makes it good. After a few years of gardening, I realised that I loved growing vegetables as well, so I got an allotment, and that's very different to a garden. A garden, for me, has plants that bring me pleasure and look good. An allotment is a different type of gardening because it's about vegetables, it's about producing food that you can use to feed people or not, depending how successful it is, and if your neighbours actually answer the door after the 6th week of courgettes, or if they hide from you. But it's a joy putting a seed in the ground and then a plant comes out that produces food. It's amazing, and it's having an allotment. It's got a great atmosphere. There's lots of people there. I did think that I would probably be the youngest. I'm not. I'm the oldest, which was quite sobering. But it's brilliant as well to see young people, 30 plus, getting an allotment, getting really into growing vegetables. I think it's fantastic for the world. It's fantastic to understand the environment, and everything tends to be on an allotment very organic, and people do a lot of reusing stuff. So if somebody's shed's falling down, somebody else will help piece it together, and that's also very good for the environment. I think gardening brings to people a fantastic grounding. So if I'm in a really bad mood, I'll go up to the allotment, I'll go out and garden, and it goes. I'm in a very positive frame of mind afterwards, and it's been enjoyable. I think whenever you're a bit down or something, a bit of physical exercise, out in the fresh air, what can go wrong? And I think that's a big thing, being out in nature and appreciating what this amazing world has to offer with all the other shit going on. It's fantastic to have a little oasis of calm, quiet control.
Perfect.